that summary guide and these regulations today, and then we would have July. That would bring us to, I think, September's our next meeting to get even closer to finalizing them. I think adoption would make sense in November, and then we'd be really ready to get that information out the door and get people kind of enrolled or participating in 2025. And I'll also keep folks up to date on, as we get into the fall, that will be more the time to think about developing like a PowerPoint, training materials, news alerts and things like that to get this out and inform people about it as soon as you adopt these documents and resources in hopefully November. So any questions on that kind of broad timeline where we are? All right. I know after a while it starts to be repetitive, so, but refreshers never hurt.
Well, I forgot to remind everybody, my name is Bernice Tucker, and I don't know anybody's name. Can we introduce ourselves again, do you mind?
Sure.
Do you all know each other?
I know some of the people from other things.
I'm the District 1 representative. I live in Catonsville.
President, Deputy Director of OPF.
Okay,
Tina Lagatito, also we have support to support.
okay.
Stephanie Baines, I am District 5, I think, can't quite remember.
Correct. Yes.
That happened last night.
Yeah. I'm Betsy Kime from the Office of Law, and I'm here for support.
I am Shane. I'm also with the Office of Budget and Finance for support.
Sam O'Neill, County Executive's Office.
I'm Jamie McGurk, and I'm with the Office of the Inspector General for Health, and I'm a fraud investigator. And I'm with District 3, I think. Right, I think.
I'm Bud Staggerwald, and I'm from District 7. Brad Croner, Office of Government Affairs.
Bernice Tucker, Community District 2. So now we'll have a discussion of the summary guides and the draft regulations. Did everybody look at it?
We do a hard, does everyone have a hard copy?
Okay. So, I mean, I'm sorry to jump in. if
No,
that's okay.
please.
You know, we have these two documents here. I think it might make the most sense to talk about the regulations first.
I think that it's shorter.
A shorter document, and then we can maybe
Nice.
say we got through one of them today if we have to, if there's a limiting. But depending on what folks have had a chance to look at, and, you know, it's all right if you haven't memorized this or read every single page, you know, in slow motion. But to the extent that folks have looked at these documents, do have questions or comments, one thing we could do is really just talk through each page and decide if there's any action items that folks have there, or the things that you have questions about for us that you want us to change, or that you even have draft language for now. Are there things that you would like to go and then work on and provide before the next meeting? And we could really just take it page by page like that.
That sounds good.
Okay, all right. So Betsy has the first page of the draft regulations open. Does that make sense? Is something that we could share on screen too?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
So I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 9 members now, 1 from each councilmatic district and 2 from the county executive. If 2 councilmatic districts are at it, will we go to 11?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think,
Well, I'm sure the verbiage is there.
the verbiage is there that it doesn't say 9.
No, it doesn't have the, I just know that 7 and 2, that's 9. So if we have 9 council districts, then it'll be 9 and 2, which will be 11.
Right.
I got it. I just want to make
I
sure.
always try to write things in a way that so regulations are, we adopt them, the county attorney is going to have a hearing on them. There's something that we publicly adopt. They're not necessarily how, and it gives us a guideline of what we're going to be doing. So they are written in a way that is a little bit more vague in case the code does change in some ways that we can anticipate. And and we may have policies and procedures that are a little bit more detailed and streamlined than this, but this is just broad for the future.
Understood.
Yeah, every commission has regulations.
Filibustering until.
All right, okay. Oh, we're updating our, okay. We're working on sharing this document so that we can talk through it. Now, I guess as a reminder, we have a law on the books that just sets out, creates this commission, creates the fund. The first document that we're talking about here are regulations, which is our kind of formal laying out how the fund and the commission will work under that law. So that's a more formal document, and then we'll move on to the summary guide, which is trying to create like a easier to read version of these things for folks.
And also the summer guide, a lot of it, if you went through it, you notice there's a lot of diagrams and a lot of instructions. A big part of the summer guide is actually meant for a potential candidate and their team to review and to be able to file. The way I was able to create, and you'll see the first, or I think the last like 15 to 20 pages of that document is taken. What I did is I compared all the different counties who have a fund similar to ours. I looked at all of their guides, all of their summary guides, and realized they were using the same language, same diagram verbatim. And I brought that over and copied it for Baltimore County instead of reinventing the wheel and asking SBE for more help than I don't want to be the too squeaky wheel.
Okay, yeah, exactly. All right, Sam, are you ready to share it? Okay, so we can start, maybe zoom in.
No, if you go to view
Yeah.
and then you click one page,
Oh,
click
yeah, I
one,
see it.
right, it's,
In
you
the
were
center.
there, we were right there by 100. Up
Yeah.
one. There you go.
Awesome. All right, and then maybe zoom in.
Yeah, I have to do that for every document or it makes me crazy.
Yeah. I know. I feel like we can do better than that, yeah.
And this document, a lot of the language and verbiage is taken from the code. I did that because I wrote this before we
Perfect.
started meeting and I wanted us to have a guideline based on the law. We can change it. I am not. You can change it, you can hate the wording, we can completely redo it if you'd like to do it that way.
Okay, well, I know we've got a little less than an hour booked for today. We have a short agenda item that will come after this at the end, so I'll try to keep that in mind as we go through this. Hopefully we can get through this document in maybe the next 20 minutes and then move on to the next one. I don't know the best way to do this, but we could just ask if anyone has any comments on each page. Do you want to do that? Okay.
And I do.
Mhm.
He said that really in total, we have 11 members. So here in 2B, it says 9 of the 9, which we are. But then when you do the two members shall be appointed by the county. So doesn't that total not, that's the total
So,
of 11?
11,
So shouldn't it state that there will be 11?
we don't know that that bill's going to
Might
pass.
not pass.
Oh,
We have,
okay.
For 11.
So what we could do, we can change it to the membership shall consist of members, each of whom is a resident, registered voter of Baltimore County.
You could just take the numbers out.
Yeah, by just taking the numbers out, the sentence
That makes
needs to
sense.
work.
yeah,
I think that would be, good.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
And then I'm gonna take it out of B as well.
yeah.
yes.
And I'll say of
Yeah,
the
Right.
members of the commission.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, there wasn't, that's good.
The insurers with a question mark.
Yes, we went back and forth. Is it insure or insures?
I would say
I
insurance.
think it is insure.
I think
Yeah.
it's.
Okay.
And just to interject, I mean, this is not the last, if folks want to go back and really read every page and come back with even more questions, even before we next meet, that's okay. So don't feel like you have to be reading every word while we go through this right now. It's not the last.
Well, and Betsy may have mentioned this, but we are obligated to post these draft regulations for a period of time on the website so that the public has an opportunity to review. And then at the next meeting, you can formally adopt them.
From November, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or even at the next.
Yeah,
meeting.
it's just 30 days is the period of time.
Got it. Okay.
To be off.
Does anyone else have questions or comments on page 1? What about page 2?
I have a couple. Okay. What's the definition of the quorum? Is it just majority, like 5 out of 9
I was
or
gonna have to
none?
think.
Yeah. Are you hearing, is there some clarity on that?
So, I'll give you the writer's perspective of this. Some groups have very specific form in the code and some groups do not. You guys are lucky enough that the code does not define what quorum is. We can have it be a simple majority, or we can have something more regimented. I personally recommend a simple majority because you never know what happens, and it's always easier if some people can meet to get things done. But I did intentionally not define quorum because the code doesn't define it, so we can make it whatever we'd like it to be.
But what does the code say?
The code
Because
does,
majority might mean if it's 12 members, you have 7.
right, so the code specifically for some commissions and organizations will say a quorum is defined as, there's one organization I know is at least 3 members. The code is silent on what is quorum for this commission. So we have the ability in our regulations to define what the quorum is.
Right, I think they should.
Okay. What are people's thoughts on that?
I think what you said, the,
Simple.
the simple majority.
So in other words, would that mean that if you have a simple majority of the commission at a meeting, a majority vote of them, so it's a majority of majority
Right.
consists of a vote, an
I
acceptable
think
vote?
it would require a simple majority of total number of members, right? So if they're
Right.
not there, they're not voting, they would
Right.
have to at least vote by email or something.
Or
Right?
Just like-
participate in WebEx.
Right now, we're out of.
If
there's no
only
quorums.
4 people showed up, right? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Where's the?
Yeah, so we're
Right,
good.
okay.
But if only, it wouldn't just be a majority out of the 5 here, it would still need to be a majority of all the members.
Yeah,
Is that how you read that too, Betsy, or?
That is how I read it, would be a majority of all of the members.
Members present.
Yeah,
Yeah.
members, not just members present.
Right.
Right, so quorum would be based on the majority of the members being able to be present either by web or physically in person. And then if we were to vote on something at that meeting,
I would say we wouldn't have a quorum if we didn't have.
that
To me, the quorum is having the majority present for the vote or able to vote, but then the vote is based on the majority of the members. Total.
I mean,
I don't think that gets much accomplished. You have 5 members here, we talk about something, now we vote. The other people don't show, we got nothing accomplished.
well, you can't vote if
You're
you
not
don't have a
having council
majority.
districts or.
So,
No,
so
we
we
have
had, so
seven. We
what,
have,
what
yeah.
she said, we have 5 members present, so we have enough to have a quorum. Now, if we were to vote on something tonight, by what we're talking about here, and it's not you're right or wrong, just what she said, we couldn't vote. Because
Today we can because we would still have a quorum we would still have a majority out of the 9. Well, if
Right.
there were 4 here out of the 9,
well,
you couldn't have a
Technically, we
vote.
only have 7
yeah,
members.
we only have
No,
7
seven.
members right now.
Yeah, there you go.
we don't have the other 2.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would be okay, but yeah, if we're.
And this is also something we could put in our personal policies. So the
It's
regular,
a personal policy.
yeah, this could be a policy and procedure that we
I think
determine
that would be good.
when we have potentially 11 members, we can all sit down and figure that out. But if we leave it as quorum now, we can later define
Mhm.
quorum in our policies and procedures, because we could say, quorum is this many people, and then this commission could grow, and we would have to go back, we would have to have another public hearing, we'd have to have it all reposted, whereas,
Like the majority, but anyway, that's what I'm,
okay, so
majority.
when I think, just to go on to that little bit more of the timeline, we need to have the regulations. The regulations are approved by the county, and they are also approved by SBE. Same with the summary guide. Those have to be approved for us to really have our fund be operational. After that, we have the ability, and at any time in between, we have the ability to create policies and procedures that we can have with a little bit more specificity. But these things are more time sensitive and are public documents that we have to adopt to be able to move forward.
I mean, you could include an E that's, the commission may adopt additional policies and procedures.
Yeah, I can add that.
That way it covers you all for,
I think quorum states what needs to be stated, public facing, but these are kind of inward facing policies, right? So on the
Yes.
boards that I'm on, that's the things that we bring up when we need to make a decision.
right?
And we just go back to what we all agreed on.
And I also,
Right, right.
do we anticipate there will be any vote that would be immediate that we would need in the future that we couldn't, for people who weren't there, we couldn't pull them later?
No, no.
Yeah, I don't see us as
Yeah.
a commission that will have emergency votes.
Well, I mean, you never know, but.
Right.
Unless it's budget season.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true, yeah.
For the budget, it could be, yeah.
Would you then set a rule that says any emergency, something that's emergency, this is what constitutes that, then it would be the majority.
Yeah.
Or super majority.
And here, I'm gonna add, in section 2E, the commission may adopt policies and procedures to meet the stated goals. How does that sound? Perfect.
I still don't, yeah, on the C where it says a majority vote of the members present, I don't know if we. Is there time to revisit, because it's when it says members present, I'm thinking the people that are in the room. So I don't know if present is the word we want to leave there.
Really going for.
Yeah.
Right. Just say the members, vote of the members.
Yeah.
Committee members.
Okay, a majority vote of the members
Where.
where quorum exists.
Yeah, I feel like that's leaves it more open.
Yeah, that says it.
Great, okay. Other questions or comments on this page?
Yeah, so in this, I know this goes into more detail, but I think for, this particular document, we could at least, mention the MDRIS.
Are you on the
procedures,
guidelines and summary?
Both.
Okay.
So the drafted regulations, it goes pretty much into detail and it talks about submission, but we don't really mention how it's happening. So should we say it's the McDris system? That's how you're submitting your things, because you talk about here, right, on page 2. About
Oh, I see.
funding.
In what section are you referencing?
And that actually might be more page 3, but yeah, it's kind of like in the middle, distribution of public contributions. We're just stating
Mhm.
how you're submitting or what the submission looks like, but I think also we should say you would submit it through the McDris system. Like a simple statement.
I think the hope is that when higher up on the page where it says guidelines and then the commission shall adopt a summary guide that outlines the procedures for a candidate to utilize, hopefully that's like an umbrella, but that doesn't mean we can't
Right.
leave a
because
breadcrumb.
They could also change the name of the system.
Mhm.
Is that the only way that they can submit?
Yeah.
Currently,
State board.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not married to it, but I think that would offer clarity because we do go into detail here.
Mhm.
And the other question I kind of had for both of the documents is how often is it determined how much is going to each candidate? Is it literally piece by piece, every submission that happens? Is it quarterly? Is it monthly? Is it like visited specifically by the board to determine that? 'Cause that's
Mhm.
not in either document either. That's kind of an important piece of information.
I think that's very good.
See that. Mhm.
Right?
Yeah. Something.
There's a little note that I have for this one. I mean, I could say just that it's submitted by the determined system or the existing system or whatever.
Right,
But just
so-
that you have to submit it through that.
So you're talking about CI?
Yeah. Oh, I think that is covered. So this is getting into the summary guide, but this fair election fund reports, that is maybe not super clear, but I think that kind of lines up with how SBE has been doing this, where it says, that you can file your reports more frequently to basically request public funds more frequently. But again, that's something we could go back and write more clearly.
Yeah, I don't think that, do you guys know the answer to that? how often they're receiving public funding or,
We've definitely discussed it verbally with the State Board of Elections. I'm not sure it's something that they've, because those sections of this are very much like from them and how they've written this up. And we've discussed it verbally. Certainly was nothing that raised any alarms in my mind. I mean, it's fairly frequently, especially in like the thick of campaign season, but we could go back and get, refresh our information on that, see if we can add some clarity here.
seems like if I was a candidate, it would be an important piece of information I'd want to know. Like, do I assign somebody to be hitting those buttons constantly? Or am I gonna just be like, no, we'll do it like, we'll submit whenever, or when can I expect my funding to drop?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, and then also, to be mindful of, do we have enough funding?
Exactly.
So I think that we really need that type of,
There is some language, if we don't have enough funding in the summary guide.
Yes.
yeah, I read it, but I'm saying, how will you,
Track it if you
yeah,
know
how are
what
you
the
tracking it?
schedule is.
Yeah. We might just want to think about it some more, but it's very important.
All right, I'm making, and you could do the same, I'm just making a note to discuss with SBE information about frequency. Okay. So we will work on that.
That's too, just
Yeah,
triple.
exactly.
So where's the funding coming? Yeah, we're putting a budgetary line item. I
Uh-huh.
get that.
Yeah.
We came up with that number. I think I came 30% rule or whatever.
Mhm.
So we got finance sitting in here. You're with finance. Is the state going to distribute the money and then this county stroking a check back? Or is the county stroking the check to the candidates?
We are.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the
And
way,
that's Bob's shop.
No, I understand. Yeah, I've been through different things.
And I'll be like, oh,
Mhm.
I get what you're saying. I understand that. I'm just trying to, but you're submitting through the state.
so the way that it works is the state is going to give us a spreadsheet with
Gotcha.
frequency, and this is what we're gonna check on. If the state is going to give us a spreadsheet of what has been submitted and what, basically what we would owe them. And we are gonna have people in OVF looking at it, reviewing it, making sure the math is correct, and then dispersing those funds.
Okay.
Mhm.
and I think the frequency, that's where the frequency comes in. There is a bit of time on the state level, once you file the report for them to do their review.
Mhm.
and then you
Exactly.
add More, so I'm trying to find my better figure number now. I think it's only monthly.
Yeah, I don't think it's like being able to use it, yeah,
No.
but you need personnel to process and.
Yeah, there's a word
Like, yeah,
about it and
Mhm.
make a
Exactly.
decision, so.
So we can ask
Let's
them
see.
if there's anything we can put in writing about that. I think there's certainly a minimum, but like at least monthly that we would be okay to publish. So even if, I'm fairly confident that we do it more often than that in practice, so. But a floor would be nice. for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay, so, now that we were on page 2
Mhm.
of the regulations, any other comments on here?
I do think so, that we should state in there somewhere that there's a state-run database that you are submitting to, whether or not we call out the actual name of that, but
Uh-huh.
there it is.
So
Go ahead.
CI, I think would be the place to put it. We have to receive a public contribution, a participating candidate shall submit a receipt to the state board for each qualifying contribution. And then the next point is what the receipt should include. And then says the director, which is us, shall distribute the appropriate contribution from there.
Mhm.
So what do you think we should add?
You could say that as, as directed in the draft, the summary guide or whatever for the Fair Election Fund. So this would probably be updated if there is a new system, but you could
Mhm.
say this, the submission instructions will be here or located here in
Okay.
this other document or.
Yeah, we can even refer back, I mean, we could drop language in that just says this summary guide mentioned above will contain instructions for how to do this. Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
So
so,
that's not get too specific, can't be to reference the state's rules in case
Mhm.
they decide to change. one.
That's exactly.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You must be compliant with state rules.
Yeah.
Fine.
In conformance with state rules, yeah.
all right.
But if
Okay,
they do, we're gonna have to update the summary guide anyway.
Exactly.
Because we're gonna have to make it compliant with the state if they
Mhm.
change it.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just saying, like, what's the point in saying you have to submit, but then we don't tell you anything about it? I
Mhm.
know we're not going into a lot of detail here, but
User
that would
friendly.
be frustrating for me if I'm trying to figure out information.
Absolutely. Okay. I think that might bring us to page 3. Got that note?
I have a question on VIV, sorry, I'm taking all
Oh,
the.
absolutely. And we can discuss.
Delta IV, it says certified candidate may collect contributions and receive the aforementioned amounts in both the primary and general. Is that 750 for primary and then another 750 for general?
Yes.
Okay.
And that actually, there weren't all, not everyone, what we found is that draft language is we added that IV because
Thank you.
we didn't feel like the 750 and the 80 was clear.
Right, yeah.
We had to review the legislative intent and really listen to the council discuss this to make sure that we were clear on that, and we added that language.
That's how I'm
Yeah.
reading it with
Mhm.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
I see a very silly thing, in V. It says of this section and it should say of the code. So I'm gonna change that.
Okay.
I would say lowercase.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you were at.
You said the
V.
Fine.
director shall reduce the public? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the director shall not distribute a public contribution based on a contribution under
Oh,
8213B2. And I wrote of this section, it should be the Baltimore County Code.
Oh, that's what, okay, I was confused.
All right,
Too.
Good catch.
Yeah,
Not a
great.
catch.
Uh-huh. Yep,
I see code language and I kind of zoom in.
yep, okay. Got it, okay. Anything else on this page?
Just clarification.
Mm-hmm.
So a candidate could technically be part of this program for the primary, but does not have to participate in the general. Is that correct?
Well, there's 2 paths that you go down there, big picture. One is you just lose your primary fair and square,
Understood.
and then you're out of it. If you win your primary, then you basically, owe the funds back you have to keep going.
Understood. You
Yeah.
keep going. I'm not saying you drop
yeah,
out.
Uh-huh, yeah.
But now, but get big donors if I'm running for county executive, and now I don't want public funding.
I don't think you can do that.
That's what
I
I'm
think you
asking.
have to pay it back.
I
If
think you
you-
have to pay it back because then you're withdrawing in a sense from.
From the commission, from
Yeah,
from
exactly.
being part of this.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I want to ask.
Yeah.
Because if you're county executive and you win your primary,
Mhm,
you're running against, and let's say you're a Democrat, you're running against a Republican,
mhm,
you're going to get big backers that are going to come to you.
mhm.
So I don't need your 750,000.
There- yeah.
I might not, I'm not saying that. So that's what I'm asking, because when you're in certain, look,
Mhm.
granted, I know the number, and it's a numbers game. Once you get to one point, you might be golden. If you're a newcomer to the game, you might want this.
Yeah,
But, if you get there and then you make it and you're just a long shot, and all of a sudden you win the primary, you
mhm.
might not want to do it anymore. So that's what I
Exactly.
want to ask.
The withdrawal section is.
And that would be, okay, that's
Mhm.
fine, that's all, that was a question.
Right.
Part of the withdrawal steps. So they would owe whatever they got out back.
Yeah,
They could only get up to 750, whatever they take, they would have back.
Which if you were following the city fund, there was some issues actually with this, with one of the candidates who elected to participate in the
mhm.
financing.
Mhm.
Nice to say it, it's so.
Although luckily I think there was at least one other candidate that had a more successful use of it. So it was nice to see it go through.
That's that question.
Yeah, okay. Where am I? That almost brings us to page 4. Does anyone have questions or comments there? And something could I actually comment on a couple things here. On page 4, where you see E and F, these are requirements that are unique to Baltimore County's election fund. None of the other counties or city are doing this, but what the council has done here and has said is if you are participating in this election fund, then there's also going to be a total cap on how much you can spend. So let's take E as an example. We already know that if you're running for county executive, you can get up to $750,000 in matching funds in a primary. What this says is that in the primary, you can also not spend more than 1.4 million, which would add up to 2.8 million in the total election cycle. So I just wanted to feel like that's worth knowing that that's really unique to us and it's not something we can take out. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Anything else on this page? Okay. All right, now we're speeding through.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think I raised the issue last time
Mhm.
about whether we're allowed to contribute to candidates.
I have an update on that.
Okay.
It's under old business.
It's on, yeah,
Okay.
I have an
just wanted-
update,
Didn't know if it was part of the regulation.
the kind of answer for you. I have,
Okay.
I have the best kind of attorney answer for you.
Okay, I just wanted to, I didn't know if we should like talk about it.
We can make sure we cover that,
Regulations.
yeah. Yeah. Make sure all that. We can see how far we get, and honestly, I don't know if we can discuss if we need to meet again to get through. I don't know. I don't think that we'll get through the whole summary guide today,
Have to
but.
contribute more than 250 and you're fine.
Okay, does anyone, that kind of brings us to the end of the document. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the kind of this document here?
Well, on page 5, it says upon any violation by, what are some of the violations?
Mhm. That could be, let's say, for example, that it comes like to be known that you're submitting receipts or donations to the State Board of Elections that say you're getting these donations from someone in Baltimore County, but really they live in Howard County. It's a Howard County address. But I think, I'm not an expert on that, but it would just be trying to get money, matching money out of the fund that you're not entitled to.
And there's also, the issue is this fund requires the use of one bank account or the
Mhm.
second bank account. There's any kind of fraudulent activity.
Do you think we should say it?
I think they're listed out eligibility and things like that
Yeah.
in this document here.
Oh, in here?
Yeah.
Okay, because I tried
You
to
have to
figure it.
think
Okay.
of all the different ways
But
for
if it's
someone.
listed,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We probably want to save at least 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the meeting. So we've got a solid,
15.
15 or 20 minutes to dig into the summary guide, and then we can discuss what to do from there. Okay. So if we get to page 5. So much of this is from the state, so we'll see. We'll see how we go.
Yeah. A lot of this is the state or our code.
Exactly. All right, so I noticed on, one thing to say on page 5 is this highlighted section here.
Yes.
Betsy, I'll let you.
I highlighted that because when I was initially writing this, we had not met yet, and I wanted to give the opportunity if you guys wanted to have something specific said here, or if you guys wanted to, write as sort of like a greeting or a letter or something. I highlighted it, and this section is basically blank. It's just more of a header, so because I wanted the input of the commission before I wrote about the commission. So I just, however you guys envision that section.
Something I would suggest maybe taking a peek at, and this is maybe something we could write, or the commission could write together during the next meeting, there was a Baltimore County work group here. I think it's, and the work group fed into the legislation being developed, which has led to the commission existing today. And we could share that page with you and then maybe revisit this, or if anyone wanted to draft language in between meetings, we could discuss it at the next meeting. So it doesn't have to be super long or anything, but just explain how Baltimore County got here.
I think we should. I just don't think we're ready to do it today.
Okay. Right. Any other questions or comments on this page? All right, next page.
That's until page 24 to be honest.
Yeah, this whole page is definitions taken
Yeah.
directly from the code.
Got it. I might even beat you all to comments here. We'll see. I've got some of my own questions. Okay. Yes.
You wanted me to label this thing as Exhibit A.
Yeah,
That was
exactly. Okay. Does anyone have I have a question on page 13. Does anyone have anything before then?
Nope.
Okay. And this may be something that, Betsy and I need to talk about offline. I just felt like the rules here about contributions and loans from the candidate and family members wasn't super clear. We talk about it near the top of the page where it says on page 13, an applicant candidate may accept up to $12,000 in contributions or loans consisting of a combined total of not more than 6,000 from each of the following family members. And the list includes self and spouse. And then also near the end of the page, there's another section that says loans and contributions from candidate and their spouse. So I'm just not sure why we talk about
And
the
not the rest of
applicant,
the
the candidate
family.
and the spouse in two places, yeah. I'm thinking maybe we could have gotten the top text, maybe comes from other counties, and the bottom text may be specific to Baltimore County. It may be something we need to research.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just assumed that there was something specific to, or it makes me think that there's something specific to them and their spouse, but not their
Exactly.
children or other family.
I
Uh-huh.
think that sometimes a spouse can be viewed as like, you and your spouse are sometimes viewed as one legal unit,
Uh-huh.
why it's written that way, but I'm gonna look
Yeah.
into it a little bit more.
Okay, so we'll revisit that.
Yeah.
And there's also an extra, oh, I think you
Yeah.
already got it. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
All right.
I remember it was plagued with formatting issues on this.
Uh-huh, it's not easy when you're pulling so much. Okay, I had a comment on page 15. Anyone beat me to that?
No.
Okay, there's a sentence here where we're talking about digital signatures. And what this language really comes from the state board. What we're trying to say is you can't just have somebody check a box to say that they live in the county, or that they're contributing to a publicly financed candidate. You really need them to acknowledge it by like initialing or signing and something like that. So the sentence that says, this is more than checking a box, but an action, comma, a check mark, comma, as evidence of the signature will not be accepted by the contributor for matching funds. I just don't get it.
About electronic signatures or?
Yeah, digital signatures, I guess,
Digital
yeah.
electronic are different.
It talk-
Right.
it talks about.
Yeah, okay, all right.
some places.
Well, that is what, that's what that describes, where you
Here it is.
check a box, or you're just giving, like you do with Adobe, a mimic your handwriting. A digital signature actually locks the document,
Oh.
confirms you are you,
Mhm.
who you are, lock that document.
Okay. But
Thank you.
I guess I feel like there's two sentences in there to tease out because it just says this is more than checking a box, but an action. And then it says will not be. Oh, I guess it's saying a check mark will not be accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Correct.
Sorry, y'all.
Confusing.
Yeah. Can we
can-
maybe workshop that? If I
Yeah,
can't
I
read
think
it.
so.
I'm putting a
'Cause I
comment
have,
to
yeah.
reword this.
Underline
sentence.
it. Oh.
Certain software does digital signature,
Mhm.
it's to verify you are you.
Right.
And it's not just a checkbox, it's.
You
Mhm.
have answered a question that the law office has been dealing with for like 2 weeks. Should have called you.
Okay.
Tons of compliance.
But back to your point for 13, I think what they're doing is they're breaking it out that in section 8, that the candidate and the spouse can be considered separate.
Mm, okay.
Because if you look up top, it says no more than 12,000, and it says the applicant or the spouse. But if you look at that as one unit, what they're doing is now they're down here, they're breaking it out where the candidate can lend 6,000 and the spouse can lend 6,000.
Okay.
That's what it looks like it's doing,
Got it.
and they're clarifying that because of that.
Hmm. And is the total cap for everybody 12,000, no matter what? Betsy, or is it?
I think so.
Search that. Okay, we'll confirm it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that was that for page 15 about digital signatures. Does anyone have a question on 16 or 17?
We have something, let's highlight it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes, okay. So we're highlighting this, I don't know if you.
Wait, sorry, I'm going back to Stephanie, I think this is where you questioned whether or not Chris should be specified as the
Mhm.
platform, right, in the summary guide. So making that more generic or like state board approved software, like right now it's MD Chris as the
Mhm.
campaign finance system. Is that the point you were making earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can't be a Word document. They say like the, signature on the thing.
Yeah,
put it in
just
there.
say like state board approved, platform or whatever.
Mhm. And what page are you on there?
I.e. empty
We flagged that.
Are you on the, back on the regs?
15. No, this is the summary.
Oh, you're on
Page
15, okay.
In the certification.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha, yeah. Yeah, we can update that if it changes.
Right.
Okay.
16, we're on the highlight language.
That language is highlighted because this is something that just we do. And we wanted to highlight it for SBE because it is something very specific to our county.
Oh, yeah, so only we do this,
Yeah.
and so we're actually highlighted it for the state's benefit, because they're gonna read this when the commission is
yeah.
done with it, yeah.
So it's highlighted for the ease of them.
And if folks are curious about how that works, basically, the State Board of Elections already has a lot of information anytime. I mean, you probably have more experience than me, some of you with this, but they already know when you've declared a candidacy and have raised funds in other accounts and things like that. And we've confirmed with them that they will be able to help us make sure that the public contribution is reduced if someone has basically already been spending money in the current election cycle.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, page 17. Didn't think so. Page 18. All right, and then page 19, I think we had something. Oh, okay, I thought, for some reason, I thought you said page 19 earlier.
24.
Oh, 24, okay. Does anyone have anything before page 24? All right, let's go to 24.
And it's just the same question about how often is
No, it's 20.
Okay, gotcha.
notifying?
Right, well, done.
Yeah.
Good. I'm sorry.
So we'll put a note there to find out how often.
Get some information, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the intention is that I think you fairly flagged page 24 is the page where that information should be. And I think this report section is intended to kind of convey that. I just think it's a little too subtle for any of us to find it really obvious. So.
Yeah, I get that it filed on the first and third Tuesday of February, March and July. So there's, those are the reports, and I don't know if a report comes and that's how
Yeah.
they do it, or if it's like a rolling thing. I just couldn't really pull it out.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand the distribution as well, so.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And then on 25, it kind of goes back to the question that Bob brought up. Or no, not Bob, sorry, Bud, sorry. My grandfather's name, I should remember that. The withdrawal, is it clear, and maybe this is implied, or I don't know, I'm not, much into politics. But is it implied that in the primary, if you've used the funding and then you withdraw from that program, because now you do have those other donors, is it implied that you would then have to pay back everything from the primaries? Because I don't know that that's clear, and somebody like me who has no clue about any of this, that is not clear to me here. Because it seems like it would be two complete cycles, like, okay, I've won the primary now, do I want to re-enter the program? It might be clear somewhere else in the document where it's full. If you're in the program, you are in the program for the entire election, primary and.
So are we looking at the text where it says, I'm reading the sentence that says, if a candidate receives any distributions from the fund and later withdraws from the program for whatever reason,
Where are you
candidate must return.
Where are you?
Oh, that's the bottom of page 25, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
The candidate must return all contribution amounts.
Yeah, but that doesn't end with the primary, so it could be implied.
Mhm.
It's just not clear for somebody like me who doesn't know, but maybe somebody who's, entering the program would already know that,
Mhm.
which is fair.
We can ask that. So it would be clear if you said, even if they've already won the primary, that's what you're trying to clarify?
Or just stating that it's somewhere in the document, when you enter the program, this is for the full cycle, the full election cycle, primary and.
By the site.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. So really the qualifying period, you're only doing that once at the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be in
And
this
yeah,
section.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. And that's also very relevant when folks ask, well, hey, what if I don't even have a primary challenger? How do I get into this? Can I participate in the general? And the answer is yes, you can participate in the general. You meet certain other requirements. for like being a third party candidate, but you still have to qualify during that qualifying period, which ends before the primary. So
Okay.
it is possible for it to be too late for you to join.
Oh, wow.
But you can get involved even though you don't have a primary challenger yet,
Okay.
or even if you never have a primary challenger.
Sure, because
Yeah.
you still got the primary, and you can still have the funds for the general.
Uh-huh, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Got that note. Any questions, comments on page 26?
The only thing that I'll say, and I'm not sure about this, we could check with the fair election fund reports and where you asked about the Tuesdays, that they may coincide with the candidate's filing status. The candidate and his treasurer has to file throughout the campaign. They may coincide with that. I don't know that, but that may be what they're talking about.
But it should say it somewhere.
Well, the treasurer of your campaign knows the filing cycles. And if they read this, they would know that, oh, these are the same times I have to file for that. I'm not saying that is right, but I know that, but when my treasurer had to file throughout the cycles, there were cycles.
Oh, okay, so we can clarify that with them.
I don't know, you have to ask, but
Yeah,
it might coincide with their
Does
time.
it align with other treasurer actions?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Because it's
Mm-hmm.
going back.
I'm not certain on that, but it may.
No,
And your treasurer, if you had a campaign, is gonna be doing this for you too.
Yeah, they're gonna pay
So if they're
attention.
putting in some reports, they're maybe lining those up so they all go in at one time.
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I sincere apologies. I've been across the street at the liquor board since 12:30.
What did you bring it to me?
Yeah, did you bring any liquor?
They've been serving liquor, I can say that. And just so you know, I wish I could say I got this defending a woman's honor, but I just tried to get into the SUV a little too quickly.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's classic. So again, my apologies. Usually things don't last that long over there.
Still on 25, Shane?
I think we were on 26.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
My last comment's on 27. I don't know if I did that.
And I was just gonna, I read that too fast. I see it now, the way that they're both. Yeah, something I was noting here that I had observed when I read this is there is a provision if the director thinks that there's going to be insufficient funds to start reducing the public contribution for everyone proportionally. And then there's a separate provision for, okay, what do you do when you run out of funds? So those are our procedures there. Hopefully neither of those things will happen.
I thought that was clear.
Okay. Sure. And I think certainly, I mean, that's part of our job over here is the budget shop and the accounting shop that will certainly be aware if funds are dwindling and will alert the commission and the director. Okay, any comments on 27?
I had just one question. So it's really section XLII. I don't know what number that is.
Mhm.
But is there someone to contact with questions? Like, with my federal career, I contact GC. I don't know that we want to give them anybody access to a lawyer, but who's going to determine or let them know what's allowable and what's not, if they have a big question?
Yes. I feel like this is another one we could ask SBE because they are really the experts there. And I'm wondering if we can clarify that and say, the SBE is the authority here.
Perfect.
But yeah. And I know they do provide a lot of information.
Yeah, point them to a
Website,
website. Yeah, I think that's great.
That's something, do we have that on the resources page in here, the SBE's website? We can point to that.
I think not only do we have the SBE's website, but we have someone's name and phone number.
Okay, great. All right. Anything else on page 27? Okay, 28? Or, yeah. Really getting there. I think that might bring us to the end, folks. Ooh, wow. Thank you. And just for our chair's information here, we'll certainly be having an opportunity for everyone to be reviewing this in writing before our next meeting and providing additional comments, additional questions. So I don't want you to feel like you missed an opportunity to comment. Yeah. Okay.
I've never been shy about that stuff.
If you had written comments on those, I can take them and make sure we incorporate them.
I think that does it for now. I would just wrap up on our end to say that, I mean, Betsy and I will definitely make sure we've got our notes in place here. I think mostly what we need to do is just go chat with the state
Yes.
board. And then we circulate this again in a few weeks and make sure that we give you another opportunity to provide any kind of written comments that you'd like to before September. And then we could review it in September and then possibly at September agree to post it publicly and adopt in November. Yeah. Mhm. Okay.
All right. Are we on old news?
Yes, I think we turn it over to our vice chair.
Relinquish control back to our chairman.
You're all just,
And
I
we're down to our old business.
think we're on.
Web content.
Yeah.
This is just a brief item in the interest of time. As the commission starts to finalize the summary guide and the regulations
Mhm.
and adopts at the next meeting in September, just wanted to put a plug in to start thinking about web copy, what we want to put on the website. I'm sure candidates will want to start thinking about whether they can use this fund. And, we could think about putting the qualifying standards more explicitly on the website for folks to look at, especially with the first expenditures potentially coming in June of next year. So we can start thinking about that copy, and it would basically, I think, be a summary of what's in summary guide and in the regs. If anyone has any recommendations or suggestions, please feel free to let me know.
It's infographics, it's a lot of actual words, so maybe, yeah, we can develop.
Somebody go through, and I know that we've got the pictures here, but like do a video record basically, or just record their screen clicking through a submission. That might be helpful too.
That's a good idea too.
Just
Yeah,
as another
criteria.
format of something.
Yeah, I think we should do that when we
Right, we
make
can
the
do the training.
materials, the
Oh, perfect, yeah.
with the PowerPoint.
Exactly.
Doing, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it'll probably be still screenshots in a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
but we could even, I don't know, maybe we can embed a,
And be like.
You know how on your,
yeah.
go on your phone, you can like record what you're doing. and send it.
Exactly.
I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
The library. would all
Room.
that.
I'm sorry?
We can talk to the state board and figure out if they can do that.
But I know our library has the ability to do that. I don't know how, I don't talk to, but I know they do it.
Okay.
All right, and then old business, I believe, or are we ready to move on to, I'm sorry.
Certainly am. Sam, you want me to address these conflicting? So Sam has been kind enough to share with me two advisory opinions from the Howard County Ethics Commission and the Baltimore City Board of Ethics, having to do with whether or not members of the commission can make direct donations to candidates that would be subject to receiving support funding from us. And they're in conflict. Big surprise, right? Baltimore City says they don't think it's a problem as long as they're not actually working for a campaign. Howard County, on the other hand, said that they think it either is a conflict of interest or gives the appearance of a conflict of interest. So the question is, do we want to seek our own advisory opinion? I guess, would that be from the Baltimore County Ethics Commission? Okay. Not, we wouldn't get an opinion from the county attorney.
Well, I mean, I guess what these commissions have done is that they've sent a formal request to the Ethics Commission because it's an interpretation of the ethics code of that jurisdiction.
Got it.
And this is Betsy's lane. But yeah, I mean, my sort of take on it is it could be like an actual formal opinion if we're benchmarking against other jurisdictions. So that there is interpretation of our code, because ours is different than Baltimore City and Howard's.
Right, so, all of the ethics code, they do have to, the state has an ethics code and every county has to certify our ethics code against the state's code, so they are very similar, but there are some differences. Additionally, Montgomery County, allows it, and the state allows it as well, except for you have to provide that information to, like, the secretary of that board, so everybody does something different. I think an advisory opinion, especially because we're starting off now and we want to set a precedent, an advisory opinion from the Ethics Commission would maybe a good way to move forward, because it would give explicit permissions or explicitly prohibit the donations. So you would have explicit instructions or guidance from them that that would not only be good for you, but be good for ethics, or be good for the Fair Election Commission years down the line. So it sort of sets a precedent of what is or is not allowed. And if you guys would like, I can coordinate and have that advisory opinion done, but I do want the permission of the majority, at least, of this commission before I do that.
You know, as a trial lawyer for 50 years, I'm a big believer in get as much information as you can, as much guidance as you can. And I think we all would want to be doing the right thing. I guess my question is, how long does that usually take?
The code specifies that they are supposed to do a 60-day turnaround time for any sort of advisory opinion. I do believe their next meeting is the second, or I'm sorry, it is the first Tuesday in August. And I've already had a brief, I share a wall with their executive director, so I already popped my head in and said, hey, I'm gonna probably throw something on your agenda, FYI. So we are already tentatively on the agenda. She believes that we could likely have that decision out in 60 days. Sometimes they're a little longer, but I can always give updates.
Our first eligible election is 2026, right?
Yeah, we
I think I would,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd get it.
When I entertain a motion,
No, I understand it. Oh, all right.
I move.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Marietta, can you hear us? I hope.
She's muted.
I would also say that whatever the solution or whatever the resolution is should be in both documents stated somewhere and that we can and can't.
Yeah. We can absolutely put a placeholder in, at least for our records.
And I think we do want to, whether you've seen these or not, you said there's a separate Montgomery County.
I have not seen one.
No, Montgomery County did not do one. They just decided to allow it. So
To allow,
to allow the contribution,
Okay.
yes.
just figured, wait, if you know, well, Montgomery County always marches to a different.
I think one in there too, greater than 250 as well, because that doesn't actually count for any funds. So more than 250 contribution or less than.
I will,
Up to.
Well,
up
no,
to.
no contributions from anyone are allowed that are greater than 250, with the
Oh.
exception of those,
The
like
people laid out
child
in
and spouse things.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
okay.
kind of the sacrifice you make to get
the
the
public
matching
money.
funds, yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
the issue, to get into the ethic, I used to work with the ethics commission, so I know the
Okay.
code fairly well. The issue is more gonna be about public, because you guys are all, as commission members, considered public officials, and whether or not it's considered, whether or not a public official would be permitted to donate is really the third question. It had nothing to do with the amounts.
Yeah.
At all, it's just whether or not public officials would be permitted to use.
And that's where my question came up about the general election, because if you are running for county executive and you do become the winner of the primary, now you might take over 250 off donors. So
Yeah.
that's where it comes in. What do you do at that point? You withdraw and then you may owe that other money back. So they got to be aware of that if they go down that road.
Yeah, we can definitely clarify that entire cycle.
And
So I think that we would want to share these two existing advisory opinions so that
Yes.
we capture the nuances of them where they're saying, you know, the difference between a direct contribution versus maybe contribution to the fund itself or or being employed by a campaign, that sort of thing.
I have prepared already those two documents along with all my correspondence with SBE where they told me what Montgomery does and what they do to give to the ethics commission to use it.
Would that be, I have a question.
Mhm.
I have a question. If that's okay.
Yeah.
Please.
So if you could, contribute to a candidate that is not in the county, if you're in the commission.
I mean,
I don't see,
Yeah.
that would be a conflict.
yeah, I don't see that would be
Or
any
a federal
conflict.
Right.
I think it would really just be the council and the county executive.
Okay.
I wouldn't take it a step further as well when you talk to the ethics. can you be the head of a organization that donates to candidates as well? And when I say the head, like the president or something of a club, and they do the club donates, can you? Because again, that would give the air that you would give, I think it, you can't,
That's an excellent point.
but yes.
Can you give me an example of?
Yeah. Down in Dundalk, there's a group called the Democratic Seals. John's part of it, we all know, and that group donates to candidates.
Okay. If I give them a website or something for them to use as an example, they should.
Yeah, well, but it might not be a website, but can I be president of that club? Because even though the club makes the decision, you're the head of it.
It could be a VFW or
Yeah,
American Legion.
anything like that. So I think we should ask that question.
Association. Could be any good number.
That's okay, and I'm okay with the answer. I mean, I think, technically, I think it would probably look.
What I would say
Yeah.
in response to that, one of the requirements, or I should say prohibitions of being a member is you can't be a candidate, you can't be the chair or treasurer of a campaign account, an elected or appointed member of a local or state central committee or a political party. So in that case, that club is a political party that you.
Is it a party or is it it's a club?
So I would.
I'm okay either
Yeah, I
way.
mean,
I'm
it's
okay.
interpretation.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure because
Yeah.
Are
good.
you in one of these organizations?
I am. That's why I want to know if I'm going to resign.
I
Because I may very well resign.
give your contact information
You
to the
may.
executive director,
You
because
may.
she may have questions for
You
you.
may. They can call me. That's okay. But that's why I asked that question because when it came up, I was thinking, that's why I wanted to make sure here. Because that's not actually a party. I mean, you're not running, you're not doing it, but they do support people. So now, so that's why I want to know, because the answer is, that's fine. I have no problem with the.
I'm gonna have a Tracy Paley reach out.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll reach out to her.
But I would keep in mind too, is that.
You know, but you know what, but you know exactly what I'm talking
And I think most clubs out there, they don't donate.
about. Correct, they do.
So
So,
some are political action by nature, and some can have political affiliation, make contributions, lobby, but on a very limited scale. And so, and some can't do any at all. So it's an IRS distinction between the different types of organizations.
I understand. No,
I just want to add, when you said club, that's a unique distinction. So
right, and I
I'm
understand.
just saying, it's a more
Correct.
complicated question.
I get it,
Yep.
I get it.
What I would just keep in mind too is the commission hasn't set the contribution levels of qualified candidates too. So there's a lot that is very prescribed in terms of your responsibility. I think it's great to seek an opinion for clarity. That's why the commission is there. Quite frankly, the ethics commission is there. But it's very prescriptive what this body is responsible.
Understood.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we actually are approving funds going anywhere. The candidate's filling that out from the state. It's being done. We're just making recommendations to fill the pot, if you will, for it. Fill the,
You're making
the line on the
people
budget.
aware that a fund
it's
exists.
there, it's there.
Right.
Got it.
Mr. Chair?
Any other old business? When's our next meeting?
September 9th.
Yeah, I gotta-
September 9th.
Nice.
Stephanie?
Should be able to count.
I'm standing up, so.
I will not be at that one.
One of those
Okay.
days.
Neither will I.
I will be in
because of
Greece.
Surgery on the 5th.
Okay.
Sounds delightful.
And I probably won't call him.
Okay,
I don't.
better not. We can make sure to circulate things.
But yeah, but if you don't mind, that would be nice. I would
Yeah,
appreciate that.
probably well before
As
that.
soon as you
yeah.
just said the ninth, I know.
Is there an agenda there?
Well, I'll be there and on time, I hope.
There is an agenda, yeah. There. Well, thanks everyone so much for meeting today. I'm genuinely surprised by like the feedback and the questions. It's so great to get multiple sets of eyes and perspectives and super helpful. We will do our best to effectuate your comments.
Thank you.
You got Madam Vice Chair, leaving the meeting.
Uh-huh.
Chair? Take us home?
Sure.
We have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
We have a motion. I make a motion that the Fair Funding Commission is adjourned.
Okay.
All in favor?
I.
Opposed? None.
Thanks,
Nice to
Maria.
see you all, however briefly.
But would you prefer her to email you?
She can call. Calling's better. I'm with that.
Have you ended the recording?
Do we have any do outs for the next meeting? I think we